Hello everyone, my name is Cheyenne and we'll be going through session 2 of unit CHCDIV001, work with diverse people. So in today's session, we'll be looking at diversity in the workplace and the community as it's a fact of life, bringing together people from different backgrounds, cultures, beliefs and perspectives. This unit is designed to help you develop the skills and knowledge needed to work effectively and respectfully with people from different backgrounds. Throughout this session, we'll explore key concepts related to diversity, including understanding the benefits of a diverse environment, overcoming barriers to inclusive environments, and adapting communication styles. So this is, like I said, this is session 2. There's only 2 sessions for this unit, for this qualification. During our live sessions, we'll be covering the requirements for the assessments, and I will also be walking through the assessments with you guys, breaking it down and helping you guys as much as I can. Before we start, I just want to show recognition for the first inhabitants of our land. So, in the spirit of reconciliation, Hatta Institute of Education acknowledges the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connection to land, sea, and community. We recognise Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people as the first inhabitants of the nation and the traditional custodians of the land on which we work, live, and study. We express our gratitude for the sharing of this land, our sorrow for the personal, spiritual, and cultural cost of that sharing, and hope that we may move forward together in harmony and in the spirit of healing. We pay our respects to all First Nations people and acknowledge elders past, present, and emerging. All right, so because we only have 2 sessions to cover this unit, um, the unit was originally divided into 4 sessions. So I'm going to try to explain the 3 parts of this unit as best I can. So we're going to start with session 2. So in this area, stereotypes and stereotyping is covered. So we'll discuss what stereotypes are, how they develop, and the impact they can have on our interactions and perceptions. Understanding stereotypes is essential for challenging our biases and promoting a more inclusive mindset. We'll also look at cultural diversity in Australia, so you'll gain insight into the various cultural groups that make up Australian society, their unique customs, language, and belief, and how they contribute to the richness of the country's cultural landscape. We'll also look at other diversities in Australian society. So beyond culture, we'll look at the the diversity of gender, abilities, socioeconomic backgrounds, and age groups in Australia. Recognizing and respecting these differences helps create a more inclusive environment. And finally, we'll explore effective work practices that embrace diversity, such as cultural sensitive communication, inclusivity in team dynamics, and strategies for recognizing and addressing unconscious biases. So, so the quote on your screen, diversity may be the hardest thing for a society to live with, and perhaps the most dangerous thing for a society to be without. And the author was William Sloane Coffin. So this quote by William Sloane Coffin Jr. emphasizes the essential role of diversity in society. It highlights the challenges that diversity can bring, but also the critical importance of embracing it. In today's world, diversity goes beyond differences in race or ethnicity. It encompasses a range of perspectives, beliefs, and life experiences that enrich our communities. Diversity can indeed be challenging. It requires us to navigate different perspectives and sometimes confront our own biases. Yet yet diversity is what drives innovation, empathy, and resilience. Without it, society risks becoming insular, losing its ability to grow and adapt to new ideas or challenges. There are a few videos for each unit, for the presentations. Um, when the when the my recorded sessions and the live sessions are sent out to you guys will also get links and attachments of YouTube videos that will further enhance your understanding of the subject matter. So I encourage you guys to watch these videos as well when you get that email sent to you. Okay, so let's start with a fundamental question when it comes to diversity. What is diversity? So diversity refers to the range of differences and variations among people. These differences can be visible, such as gender, age, or language, or they can be invisible, like religion, values, and beliefs. When we talk about diversity, we're talking about characteristics that make each person unique. This can include people who share certain characteristics, whether that's a cultural background, language, or shared values. On the other hand, diversity goes beyond individual characteristics. It's about creating an environment where these differences are respected and celebrated. There are many kinds of diversity. Some aspects like gender, age, and language are often visible to others. Other characteristics such as religious beliefs, personal values, and cultural traditions may not be immediately visible but are equally important. Recognizing both visible and invisible diversity is key to building an inclusive space where everyone feels valued. As we go through this session, think about different types of diversity in your own life. Consider not only what makes you unique, but also how you can appreciate the diversity around you. Being mindful of of both visible and invisible traits will help us connect more deeply with those that we work with and we also serve. Now, let's talk about a crucial topic in understanding diversity, stereotyping and biases. These are things we all have to some extent, even if we may not realize it or want to admit it, and they can greatly impact our interactions with others. Let's dive into and see how they influence our thinking and our behavior. Let's start with stereotyping. So, stereotyping is when we make assumptions about individuals or groups based on visible differences or characteristics, like appearances, race, or job roles. For example, assuming someone is a certain way just because of their gender, age, or cultural background. These assumptions are often oversimplified and don't account for the unique qualities of each individual. Now, a common issue with stereotypes is that we start to believe that all members of a group are the same. For example, thinking that all young people are tech savvy or all elderly people are traditional. While there may be common trends within the groups, it's essential to remember that each person is unique. By generalizing, we overlook individual differences and potentially miss out on understanding someone's real personality, their skills, and experiences. Biases are attitudes or inclinations that influence how we perceive others, often unconsciously. They are our automatic preferences that may lead us to favor certain people or judge others unfairly. Biases can stem from past experiences, cultural norms, or stereotypes also, and they can subtly impact our actions and decisions without us even noticing. Stereotypes and biases can lead to prejudice also, which is preconceived opinion that isn't based on reason or actual experience. When prejudice turns into action, it becomes discrimination. So treating someone unfairly because of their preconceived ideas, this can be harmful in the workplace, schools, and communities, leading to exclusion and creating barriers that prevent people from reaching their full potential. Now, I want you guys to take a moment to reflect. Have you ever noticed stereotype or bias influencing your own thoughts or actions? What about in situations where others may have made assumptions about you, or being aware of these moments is the first step towards challenging stereotypes and breaking down biases. Australia is known for its rich cultural diversity, shaped by both indigenous heritage and waves of migration over the past 2 centuries. Understanding this diversity helps us appreciate the unique mix of traditions, perspectives, and values that make up Australian society today. In this section, we're going to explore two primary aspects of Australian cultural diversity: Indigenous people and cultures, and migration of Australia. So let's start with Australians' first inhabitants, the Indigenous people, including both Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities, of course. Before European settlement in 1788, Australia was home to vast networks of Indigenous nations, with around 500 different clan groups or nations. These groups were rich in cultural practice, language, and traditions that connected them deeply to the land and environment. Today, Indigenous Australians represent approximately 2.4% of the total population. Their cultures, histories, and contributions are essential element of Australian identity. Learning about and respecting Indigenous culture is key to building an inclusive environment, especially given the historical challenges and injustices they have faced. Now, let's move on to migration to Australia. So, Australia's cultural landscape began to change significantly with the arrival of immigrants during the gold rush in the 1850s. Migration continued to shape the nation, especially after policies were introduced to control immigration. The Immigration Restriction Act of 1901, which marked the beginning of the White Australia policy, aimed to limit non-European immigration and remained in place until the mid-20th century. While the White Australian policy was a restrictive approach, its eventual dismantling opened the doors to migrants from all around the world, making Australia one of the most culturally diverse nations today. Each wave of migration has brought new languages, traditions, perspectives, and enriching Australia's social fabric. Okay, so again, diversity has a significant impact on the political, economic, social, and cultural life of Australia. On your screen, you'll see some ways in which it shapes society. So let's start with political impact. So diversity influences policies and legislation as governments strive to address the needs of different groups and ensure representation. This can lead to a more inclusive approach to governance. It's also important to mention economic impact. So cultural diversity brings economic benefits by driving innovation, increasing productivity, and opening up global connections. With a workforce from various backgrounds, Australian businesses can access a broader range of skills and perspectives, making them competitive on an international scale. On a social level, diversity enriches communities, fostering tolerance and mutual respect. Culturally, it leads to the creation of vibrant communities where people can experience and learn from traditions different from their own. While diversity has many benefits, adapting to cultural differences can also be challenging. Language barriers, different customs, and varying beliefs can sometimes lead to misunderstandings or conflicts. Building an inclusive society requires patience, empathy, and a commitment to open communication. Embracing multiculturalism and diversity strengthens society by fostering understanding, creativity, and resilience. By recognizing and celebrating the differences within our communities, we can build a society where everyone feels valued and included. As a key aspect of Australia's diversity is its variety of religious beliefs and practices. Australia is a secular nation at heart, which means there is no official state religion, and people are free to practice their beliefs or choose not to follow any religion, sorry. This respect for different faiths and secular beliefs is a cornerstone of Australian multicultural identity. Religious diversity in Australia includes various faiths, each with its own tradition, values, and cultural expressions. Some of the major religion practices in Australia include, as you can see on your screen, Christianity. So this is probably the most widely practiced religion, which many denominations such as Catholicism, Anglicanism, and Protestantism. Then we have Islam. So this is a growing religion in Australia with followers observing customs and holidays such as Ramadan and Eid. Buddhism, Hinduism, Sikhism, Judaism. There's some people with no religion or secular beliefs. So understanding and respecting religious diversity is crucial in a multicultural society. Each religion has unique practices, symbols, and values, and respecting these differences fosters an inclusive environment. This diversity not only enriches communities, but also encourages tolerance and mutual understanding. In workplace and social settings, being aware of religious diversity can help us interact more respectfully with people from different backgrounds. Religious diversity is just one part of Australia's rich cultural landscape. Um, by acknowledging and respecting different beliefs, we will be able to contribute to a society that values freedom and mutual respect. So let's continue on with the rest of the presentation now. Let's talk a little bit about disability. So disability is a very important part of diversity, covering a range of conditions that impact people differently. Disabilities can be visible or invisible, and understanding these help us create inclusive environments. So the five main types are on your screen. We have physical, so this impacts mobility or physical function. Cognitive, so affecting thinking, memory, or problem solving. Sensory, this involves vision or hearing impairments. Behavioral, impacts emotional or behavioral regulation. Communication, affects speech or language abilities. Empowerment means supporting individuals with disability to make their own choices. This will promote independence and inclusion, which are essential for building confidence and a sense of control. Gender. So the gender diversity is an important aspect of inclusion, encompassing various gender identities and expressions beyond traditional categories. So let's look at some key areas related to gender in Australia. Australia recognises a broad spectrum of gender identities, including male, female, non-binary, and gender diverse. This diversity is important in creating spaces where everyone feels respected, regardless of their gender identity. Gender equality aims to provide equal opportunities and rights regardless of gender. In Australia, there's ongoing work to close gaps in areas like employment, pay, and representation in leadership roles. Gender perspectives can also vary across generations. Younger generations may view and express gender differently than older generations, adding layers to how we understand and respect gender diversity. Understanding gender diversity and striving for equality helps create a more inclusive society where all gender identities are respected and valued. In a diverse workplace, we encounter clients and colleagues from various backgrounds. Valuing and respecting the diversity is essential for a positive and productive work environment. Diversity brings a range of perspectives, skills, and experiences that enrich our workplace. Working with people from different backgrounds allows us to learn and grow. Valuing each person's unique contribution and respecting their perspectives builds trust and strengthens relationships. This respect is fundamental to a healthy work culture. Encouraging cooperation across diverse groups enhances teamwork and ensures that everyone feels included and supported. Cooperation helps us reach shared goals effectively. By valuing, respecting, and cooperating with people from all backgrounds, we can create a work environment that embraces diversity and promotes success. When working in a diverse environment, there are several key aspects to consider to ensure inclusive and respectful practice. These aspects help us align with the legal requirements, organizational standards, and personal skill development. First, we have the legislative framework, so laws and regulations, such as anti-discrimination and equal opportunity acts, provide a foundation for fair treatment, and protect the rights of individuals from diverse backgrounds. Being familiar with these laws is essential to comply with legal obligations. Next is organizational policies and procedures. So these are the guidelines within our workplace that outline how to handle diversity-related issues. Policies often address areas like harassment, inclusivity, and cultural respect, ensuring that all employees follow consistent standards. Finally, training, skill, and knowledge are crucial for effective diversity management. Ongoing training will help us develop the skills to communicate across cultures, handle conflict sensitively, and appreciate different perspectives, leading to a more harmonious work environment. Together, these aspects create a framework that support respectful, inclusive work practices, helping us contribute positively to a diverse workplace. In a diverse environment, certain skills and strategies can enhance our abilities to connect and work well with others. Let's look at the four key areas: learning, awareness, attitudes, and communication. So learning. So continual learning about different cultures, backgrounds, and perspectives helps us approach situations with knowledge and openness. Being aware of our biases and how they affect our interactions is crucial. Self-awareness allows us to adjust and approach others with respect. Maintaining a positive and inclusive attitude fosters respect and cooperation. Our attitudes can set the tone for the interactions with others. Effective communication means listening actively, respecting differences, and adapting our communication style to ensure everyone feels understood and valued. By developing these skills and strategies, we can create a more inclusive and respectful and effective work environment that embraces diversity. So let's now move on to session 2 of our session today. So let's now focus on Australia's Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander cultures and the legal and ethical consideration that come with working respectfully with these communities. Now, by understanding historical context and current issues, we can contribute to meaningful and positive interactions. So we're going to go through a few important subject matters now. So hopefully by the end of this, you'll have a better understanding of the following topics, which are appropriate terminology. So this is about using respectful and accurate language when referring to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. History, so a brief overview of Australia's history from Indigenous perspectives, including the impact of colonisation. Insight into the values, traditions, and social structures of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities. Understanding the challenges faced by Indigenous communities such as health, education, and housing disparities, efforts to reduce the inequalities between Indigenous and non-Indigenous Australians, recognising the intergenerational trauma experienced by Indigenous communities due to historical injustice, knowledge of relevant laws, and the importance of legal consideration when working with Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. So this timeline on your screen gives us an overview of key phases in history of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, from the start of colonisation to reconciliation efforts. So understanding these periods helps us appreciate the historical challenges faced by Indigenous communities and their ongoing journey towards self-determination and equality. So let's start with the invasion and colonisation, the period between 1788 to 1890. This period marks the arrival of Europeans, leading to the disruption of Indigenous cultures, displacement from lands, and significant loss of life and cultural heritage. Protection and segregation period. So this is between 1890 to 1950. So during this time, policies were enacted to control and segregate Indigenous people, often with forced relocations to missions and reserves. These measures aimed to protect Indigenous communities, but resulted in isolation and loss of autonomy. Assimilation, 1937. Assimilation policies aimed to absorb Indigenous people into their broader Australian society, often forcing them to abandon their language and cultural practices. This led to further erosion of the Indigenous identity and family separation as seen in the stolen generations. Then we have the integration, self-determination, and self-management, 1967. Following the 1967 referendum, which allowed Indigenous Australians to be counted in the census and gave the government the power to make laws for them, policies shifted towards integration and self-determination. Indigenous people gained more control over their lives and the communities. Reconciliation in 1990. So the reconciliation movement in the 90s marked a growing recognition of past injustices and a commitment to healing. Efforts included acknowledgement of the stolen generation, land rights, and increased awareness and respect for Indigenous cultures. Each of these phases has shaped the experiences of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. Recognizing the history is crucial to understand the resilience of Indigenous communities and the importance of supporting their rights and cultural perspectives, and also the preservation of these as well. Now, this timeline on your screen highlights the significant moment in history of Torres Strait Islander people, an essential part of Australian Indigenous heritage. Understanding these events will help us appreciate the unique experiences and challenges of the Torres Strait Islander people and the communities. So again, the first European settlement, 1863. The first European settlement was established in the Torres Strait region. This brought significant changes to the lives of Torres Strait Islanders, including new economic and social structures. Annexation to the colony of Queensland in 1879. So in 1879, the Torres Strait Islander people were formally annexed to the colony of Queensland. This move integrated the islands into the colony's jurisdiction, impacting the islanders' autonomy and governance. Current status. So today, the Torres Strait Islanders are part of the state of Queensland. Torres Strait Islanders maintain a unique cultural identity and continue to advocate for recognition and rights within the broad Australian society. This brief history illustrates that resilience of Torres Strait Islander communities. Recognizing these key events is important for building respect and supporting their cultural heritage. Indigenous Australian cultures are rich, diverse, and deeply connected to the land and community. Let's explore some of these key elements that shape these cultures and their worldview. The dreaming is a foundational concept in Indigenous cultures, encompassing uh, creating stories, spiritual beliefs, and the connection to land and the ancestors. It provides meaning, guiding morale and social values. Land, family, law, ceremony, and language. These elements are interconnected and essential to Indigenous identity. Land or country is seen as a living entity, while family, law, and ceremonies help maintain social order and cultural continuity. Language is also vital for passing down knowledge and traditions. For Indigenous Australians, land is more than a physical space. It's a spiritual connection, a source of identity and responsibility. Respecting the land is integral to cultural practices and beliefs. Kinship defines relationships and responsibilities within the community. It's a complex system that determines how individuals relate to one another and to their land, fostering a strong sense of belonging and support. These elements are essential aspects of Indigenous Australian cultures, representing traditional ways of life and values that have been passed down through generations. Indigenous law isn't written down. It's an oral tradition with knowledge and guidance passed down through elders who make decisions and uphold cultural practices. Elders play a critical role in maintaining social order and cultural continuity. Ceremonies serve to strengthen bonds within the community. They mark important life events, seasonal changes, and spiritual connections, reinforcing a sense of unity and belonging among community members. Language is a deeply embedded within cultural values and beliefs. It's more than just communication. It reflects identity, the stories, the worldview of each Indigenous group. Preserving language is vital for maintaining cultural heritage as well. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities face several ongoing challenges that stem from historical and systematic factors. Let's explore some of them now. So, impact of colonization. The legacy of colonization has had a profound effect, including loss of land, culture, and autonomy. This impact continues to influence many aspects of Indigenous life today, from social to economic issues. Historically, policies such as the Stolen Generation and forced assimilation have caused deep harm. Although some policies have improved, changes remain in creating fair and supportive practices for Indigenous communities are still going on. Indigenous Australians often experience poorer health outcomes compared to the general population, with higher rates of chronic illnesses and lower life expectancy. Addressing these health disparities is essential for closing the gap. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities face unique socioeconomic challenges due to historical and systematic inequalities. Indigenous Australians are more likely to live below the poverty line, which impacts access to basic needs such as housing, healthcare, and education, perpetuating cycles of disadvantage. Indigenous people are significantly represented in the criminal justice system. This issue reflects deeper social challenges and highlights the need for cultural appropriate support and justice reform. Many Indigenous students face barriers in completing their education, affecting future employment and economic opportunities. This gap in educational outcomes is a critical area for improvement. There are several barriers that can hinder positive engagement and access to services for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities. Now, let's look at some of the key barriers they face, as you can see on the screen. Due to historical injustice and mistreatment, many Indigenous people may have a lack of trust in systems and authorities. This mistrust can make it challenging to build effective relationships. Past negative interactions with law enforcement or government authorities can discourage Indigenous individuals from seeking help or engaging with these services. Racism and discrimination remain significant issues impacting mental health and leading to exclusion from essential services. Poverty and economic disadvantage limit access to resources, making it harder for Indigenous Australians to access healthcare, education, and other vital services. Family and cultural responsibilities often take precedence, which can affect the ability to engage with formal services or meet certain institutional expectations. Recognizing these barriers is essential for creating a supportive environment that fosters trust, respect, and understanding. Trauma is a powerful response to severely distressing or disturbing events that impact an individual's mental and emotional well-being. Trauma often arises after experiencing events that are profoundly distressing to or threatening, such as abuse, loss, or violence. For many, trauma can hinder their ability to cope with everyday life, affecting emotional resilience and stability. A common outcome of trauma is a deep sense of helplessness, leaving individuals feel unable to control or influence their situation. Trauma can numb an individual's ability to feel emotionally fully, often resulting in difficulties with relationships, trust, and personal growth. Again, this is another video I highly recommend you guys to watch in your spare time. These uh, video links will be attached to the email that will be sent to you guys after our live session. So again, I highly recommend you guys watch these videos as it will further enhance your understanding of the topic. All right, so here it illustrates the core elements that support identity, connection, and resilience for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities. So being socially connected. So this is about fostering social relationships uh, that will build a network of support and resilience. Then we have sense of belonging. So this is about feeling part of the community, strengthens identity and emotional well-being. Connection to country and culture. Connection to ancestral land reinforces cultural values and spirituality. Participating in cultural practice. So engagement in traditions reinforces identity and unity. Living on or near traditional lands. Proximity to heritage land helps maintain cultural continuity. Preserving cultural practices, so upholding traditions, sustain community, pride, and purpose. Living in a self-determining community, so community autonomy promotes empowerment. Strong family connections and networks. Family support provides a foundation of strength and resilience. Now, these elements are essential for supporting Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, their culture and emotional well-being in modern society. On your screen, you'll see strategies for supporting self-determination and empowering communities. So the first one is policies for self-determination autonomy. This is about developing policies that enable individuals and communities to make decisions independently, fostering a sense of control over their lives. Allow communities to have a voice in selecting and shaping the services they receive, ensuring relevance and effectiveness. This is about decision making in services. Then we have valuing community strengths. So recognize and build upon the unique skills, strengths, and resilience within the communities. Next, challenging negative stereotypes. So actively work to combat stereotypes and promote positive representation. Through these actions, we can help create a more inclusive and empowering environment for marginalized communities. Now we're going to let's focus on the key resources and strategies that ensure respectful and effective support for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities. First one is respect. So approach all interactions with cultural respect, recognizing and valuing Indigenous perspectives. Next, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander control. So allow Indigenous communities to maintain control over decisions impacting their lives and cultures. Then interpretation and integrity. So ensuring accurate interpretation of cultural practices and maintain integrity in all interactions. Finally, secrecy and confidentiality. Honor the importance of confidentiality, particularly around cultural sensitive information. Okay, so in this section, we're going to explore essential topic related to diversity in Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. By the end of this one, you'll gain a deep understanding of several key areas, as you can see on your screen, which are ethics and law. So learning about the ethical and legal principles that guide interactions with diverse communities, code of ethics and code of practice, understanding the standards professionals follow to ensure respectful and an ethical practice, and anti-discrimination laws and guidelines for diversity. So we'll review the laws and guidelines that protect individuals from discrimination and promote inclusive environments. And also in the indicators. So identify indicators of diversity and inclusion within the organization and communities. Now let's cover foundational aspects of law and ethics that guide our work and interactions, particularly in diverse and cultural sensitive settings. First point is ethics and law. So understanding the intersections of ethics and law helps us make informed, responsible decisions that align with societal standards. Code of ethics and code of practice. So these codes set expectations for behavior and ensure professionalism in all interactions. Anti-discrimination laws and diversity guidelines. So we'll discuss laws designed to protect individuals from discrimination, promoting a fair and inclusive environment. indicators. So identifying indicators of ethical and legal adherence will help maintain accountability and support continuous improvement. These principles will help foster respectful, lawful, and ethical environments. I'm just going to read that quote on the screen. So everyone in the workplace has the right to be treated fairly and the responsibility to treat others fairly. These are mutual obligations. This quote captures the essence of fairness and respect in the workplace. It highlights that fairness is not just a right, but also a responsibility. Each person has the obligation to foster an environment where everyone feels respected and valued. Mutual obligation reminds us that treating others well contributes to a positive and productive work environment. Here it outlines the key rights and responsibilities of employers, workers, and clients within the workplace. For employers, the responsibility includes setting clear expectations for job performance, adhering to workplace standards, and ensuring a safe environment for everyone. Workers, on the other hand, have the right to a fair treatment and a safe workplace. Clients also play a role, so they deserve to be treated fairly and with respect, but they also share the responsibility to show respect towards others. By fulfilling these mutual obligations, we help build a positive and respectful work environment. We're exploring the concept of needs and rights as they relate to all individuals. So, firstly, human rights are universal. So, everyone is born with them. They cannot be taken away or denied. These rights ensure that every person is treated with dignity and respect. When we talk about human needs and human rights, we recognize the fulfilling basic human needs, such as food, shelter, and healthcare, is essential to respecting human rights. Finally, the UN Declaration of Human Rights serves as a foundational document. It outlines essential human rights and provides the basis for many national laws and protections, ensuring that rights are upheld globally. Discrimination. So this involves singling out a person or a group and treating them unfairly, often putting them at a disadvantage. Discrimination can take many forms and is usually occurs because individuals are identified by a particular characteristic, such as race, gender, religion, or disability. It is important to note that discrimination can also involve giving an unfair advantage to someone because they belong to a particular group, which can be just as harmful. In any setting, understanding and combating discrimination is crucial to ensuring fairness and respect for everybody. Discrimination, which can occur against individuals based on various characteristics, like we've discussed, such as age, disability, race, sex, and sexual orientation. Discrimination can take many forms and negatively impact individuals by creating barriers to equal opportunities and fair treatment. In Australia, anti-discrimination laws are in place to protect individuals from being unfairly treated based on these characteristics. It is unlawful to discriminate against someone due to their age, disability, race, sex, or sexual orientation. These laws help create safer and more inclusive environments where everyone feels and safe and is treated with respect and fairness. Breaches of human rights and anti-discrimination laws. So the mechanisms in place to address breaches of human rights and to enforce anti-discrimination laws are the human rights and anti-discrimination laws. So when human rights are violated, these cases are often dealt with through courts and tribunals to ensure that justice is served and the rights of individuals are upheld. Australia has specific anti-discrimination laws designed to protect individuals from unfair treatment based on characteristics such as age, race, gender, disability, and more. These laws ensure that everyone has equal access to opportunities and resources without facing discrimination. Additionally, the Australian Human Rights Commission plays a critical role in promoting and protecting human rights. This body handles complaints, provides education, and conducts inquiries to foster a fair and inclusive society. Okay, so here I want to highlight the core rights and responsibilities shared by workers, employers, clients within a workplace. So first, it's essential to recognize that anti-discrimination laws and laws that uphold human rights provide a foundation, ensuring that everyone is treated fairly and respectfully, regardless of their background or personal characteristics. Service standards and code of practice outline professional conduct expectations, guiding the behavior of all individuals in the workplace. Additionally, legislation influences policies, procedures, and practices within organizations, creating a structured and lawful environment for all. Furthermore, specific policies focus on critical areas such as staff recruitment and fair employment, diversity employment as well, and the handling of complaints. Adhering to the code of practice supports consistency and ethical behavior, reinforcing a respectful, inclusive, and supportive workplace culture. All right. So now let's look at the last part of our session today, which is effective communication strategies and promoting diversity in the workplace. Now, effective communication is the foundation of any successful team as it helps build trust, ensure clarity, and enhances collaboration. Um, I'm going to go through some strategies that facilitate clear and open communication, ensuring that every team member feels heard and valued. Alongside this, I want you guys to focus on promoting diversity. A diverse workplace brings a wealth of perspectives, skills, and experiences that can drive innovation and improve problem solving. Promoting diversity isn't just about inclusive environments. It's also about creating an environment where everyone feels they belong and can thrive. By the end of this session, you'll have a clearer understanding of how communication can effectively and foster inclusive environments, respectful environments, workplaces, workplace culture that values diversity. Now let's break down the basic elements of communication, which are essential to creating understanding between people. Firstly, there is the sender and receiver. So these are the people involved in the communication exchange. Both parties play an active role, as an effective communication requires both sending clear messages and listening actively. Then we have the message itself, which is the core content or information being shared. The clarity and relevance of the message is crucial to avoid misunderstanding. The environment or situation can also play a vital role. So, for example, a formal workplace setting may demand a different approach than a casual conversation among friends. The setting can affect how the message is perceived and understood. Finally, communication media. Now, this refers to the method used to convey the message, whether it's face-to-face, email, or through a virtual platform. Each medium has its strengths and limitations, and choosing the right one can make a significant difference in how well the message is received. Understanding these components help us communicate more effectively, particularly in diverse environments where clarity and mutual understanding is important. Effective communication is a vital skill, especially in diverse and dynamic settings. Today, or now, we're going to dive into factors that influence all our communication and how they can shape interactions in a meaningful way. Firstly, there are external factors. Now, these include physical distances between the sender and the receiver, as well as the health and energy levels of those involved. For instance, if someone is feeling unwell or tired, they might not be as receptive or as clear in their responses. Distance can also impact our communication, especially in remote work or virtual settings where nonverbal cues might be harder to interpret. Then we have internal factors. These relate to the social settings or occasions, the nature of the relationship between people, and individual values or beliefs. For example, in a formal setting or communication style might be more structured compared to a casual chat. Additionally, the relationship between the people communicating, whether they are friends, colleagues, or strangers, affect the tone and openness of the conversation. Finally, cultural factors play a significant role as well. So language and the meanings we attach to words can vary greatly between cultures. Certain gestures, phrases, or expressions might have positive meanings in one culture, but be misunderstood or even offensive in another culture. Being mindful of cultural differences and showing respect for diverse backgrounds can help us communicate more effectively. In summary, recognizing these external, internal cultural factors can greatly improve our communication skills, helping us connect better and convey our message clearly. Let's keep these factors in mind as we work on our communication strategies. Nonverbal communication is a big part of how we convey messages. It includes three key areas: visual, vocal, and verbalized. So when it comes to visual, this covers physical appearances, dress, and the distance we keep from others, which can influence impressions. Vocal, this involves pitch, tone, and accent, affecting how our words are received emotionally. And verbalize, the choice of words and emphasis we place on them can change the meaning of what we say. So being mindful of these elements help us communicate more effectively beyond just words. Okay, so this quote here, so to work effectively in community services, where a significant part of our work involves interacting with other people and with people from diverse cultures and backgrounds, it is important to understand the non-verbal messages that other people send us, as well as the non-verbal messages we send to other people. So in community services, our interactions are often go beyond words. Nonverbal communication, like body language, facial expressions, and gestures, is essential in understanding and building rapport with people from diverse backgrounds. Recognizing and interpreting these nonverbal cues help us connect better and show respect, which is foundational in our work. Effective communication goes beyond just words, like we've been speaking about. It's about being mindful of how our words and actions impact other people. So, good communicators adapt their style to fit the person they're speaking to. So, ensuring they convey their message at the right time and in the right way. They avoid language that could offend, and they're often open to sharing their own feelings when appropriate. By being aware and respectful, we foster stronger, more positive connections. When resolving conflicts, cooperation is key. So we begin by openly sharing the problem at hand, allowing each party to express their perspective. Then we work together to uncover the underlying needs of everyone involved. Understanding these needs help us identify creative solutions that address the concerns of all parties. By following this approach, we foster a collaborative environment where conflicts can be resolved constructively. In any communication setting, it's very important to consider that diversity of individuals we interact with. Age differences can influence communication needs and styles, whether we're speaking to young children, adolescents, or elderly adults, sorry. Disability is another crucial factor. We need to be mindful of those with impaired vision or individuals who may not communicate verbally, adapting our methods accordingly. Gender differences can also play a role, as men and women may have varied communication preferences. By acknowledging these aspects of diversity, we can tailor our communication to be more inclusive and effective. In cross-cultural communication, it's crucial to be aware of cultural differences in non-verbal communication areas. For instance, eye contact holds a different meaning across cultures. In some cultures, direct eye contact with an elder or authority figure might be viewed as disrespectful or rude, while in others, it's a sign of confidence and attentiveness. Proximity or personal space is another aspect that varies. People from certain cultures may prefer to stand closer during conversations, while others maintain a greater distance to feel comfortable. Lastly, touch has varied interpretation. Physical gestures like handshakes, hugs, or even cheek kisses can be received differently depending on cultural norms. Understanding these variations helps us communicate respectfully and effectively with individuals from diverse backgrounds. Effective communication in diverse settings is essential, especially when engaging with people from different cultural backgrounds. Here are some general guidelines to ensure respectful and clear communication is maintained or is adhered to. First one is showing respect. So always approach conversations with respect for the individual's background, beliefs, and experiences. Ask questions. So if you are unsure about something, don't hesitate to ask politely. It's better to clarify than to assume. Then maintain a calm tone. Raising your voice can be interpreted as frustration or aggression. Instead, speak in a calm, composed manner to foster trust. Also, utilize language or cultural interpreters. So, when language barriers exist, work with interpreters who can help bridge the gap and clarify meaning. It's important to remember that cultural interpreters are not substitutes for the person. Some cultural nuances or sentiments may be challenging to translate directly, and interpreters can provide additional context or on cultural norms and expectations. All right, so that's the end of our session today, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys in the live sessions where we will further discuss the assessments that are required for this unit, and I'll answer any other questions that you may have. So the recording of this session and the recording of the live session will be sent out to you guys after the end of our live session. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you've got any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you.